So I guess getting right into it, we got favorite stories, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I got my favorite. Like, I don't want to presume, but, everybody's got a favorite story that's been told to them. Like whether it's Grandpappy sitting by the fireplace with his bearskin rug. I don't know why I went southern. His bearskin rug. He brings out Ye Old Book.
The Ye Old Book. Yeah.
Or, your favorite movie, anime. Ooh, Attack on Titan's a pretty good story. I didn't think about that, but
that's a good one.
That's a good one. You guys got your favorites?
Yeah, I got a favorite.
I'm gonna let you
You're
go first.
ruminating.
Yeah,
Mitch,
I still gotta kind of.
There's a lot of good stories out there.
Yeah.
Before we get into them, do you think there's a reason we like stories so much?
It's something you can for some at least, some stories you can relate to on a personal level. There are some stories that can take you out of reality and let you escape and become like, you can like throw your worries out and just read a book or just listen to a story and be like, yeah, and be in the shoes of that character and be like, escape from reality. Or
so an escape is for you.
Yeah, it can be an escape. It can be something that you can relate to. It can be something that you just overall just kind of enjoy that makes you feel something. Like
do you want to know why humans love storytelling so much?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's one of the core foundations of being human. It's what makes us so us.
Yeah.
What other species, animal, whatever you want to think, tells stories, records, documents what happens in history? Like,
yeah,
it's true.
Nothing else. No, you don't see a rabbit writing on a.
I have never seen a rabbit do that.
Yeah,
you're right.
It's such.
I know what you're saying though.
It's such a human thing, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Just the growth of how we've changed to tell our stories, and
or how they've stayed the same too.
How they've stayed the same, how they've changed, and just
the amount of ways
what we do with it is amazing. How powerful it used to be and how powerful it still is, but in a different way.
Yeah.
It's absolutely phenomenal. We used to tell stories to pass along knowledge on how to farm and harvest and hunt, and now we tell stories to
like, what does it mean to be like a person?
Yeah.
And not just like a flat person, but a full 3D person, knowing that people aren't always good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not everyone's so one-dimensional.
Yeah.
You can really blur the lines. And I think when it comes to storytelling, too, the amount of times you can tell a story, and even by it spreading from, like, person to person. So, like, you tell one person a story, and then they tell somebody else that story, but they'd tweak it a little bit. And then that other person would tell the same story and also tweak it a little bit. Like, there'd be moments of, like, things where, I guess if I had to choose an example, there'd be maybe, I guess, Frankenstein. There'd be like there's different ways you can tell Frankenstein.
Well, and Frankenstein was actually hot, right?
Was he?
In the actual book, he was like this beautiful man.
He was like an amalgamation of human corpses and stuff. But he was like more or less, hot, I think. He was more or less supposed to be like. That's right. We can always fact check it.
I would say fact check that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but like the amount of ways you can tell the story of Frankenstein.
Put it in our comment section.
Theme. Yeah,
somebody.
Yeah,
or on Spotify.
Let us know.
Honestly, yeah. Like the way
was Frankenstein beautiful? He is in our hearts.
That's a research paper in the making.
Yeah.
I would love that. We'll have Levi do that.
But yeah.
The Academy of 50-50. Write us in. Was Frankenstein beautiful? Why or why not?
Wow.
2 pages at least.
2 pages, 12-point font, Times New Roman.
Times New Roman,
APA, please, not MLA. Get that
out
high school bull out of here.
Yeah. I do Chicago style.
Oh, that's right. You're poli-sci.
Yeah.
Or you used to be.
I'm even more. Used to.
He was always.
Oh, yeah.
What are you talking about?
What?
I'm sorry.
And you throwing my major out here on live?
No.
He is. He totally is.
We're going to have to bleep that.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
I was like, wait, what?
Like, as long as the story centers around a theme, where you can...
Or it can be characters.
Yeah,
it can be just about the characters.
It's like a moral or a theme or a character. As long as it follows that, you can really change the story in any way you want, as long as it keeps those same elements.
Storytelling is such a beautiful thing. It's so, I don't even know the right verb to use. So transcendent. So
I think it's
so
like an
beautiful
aspect of consciousness. Like you have to be conscious to be able to tell stories, right?
Yeah, you have to kind of.
I would think
you have to have, and also like prior experiences can help you forge a story.
You don't even have to be conscious to tell a story. You can tell a story by just being like dead. There's storytelling everywhere.
That's true. We give that death storytelling, though, don't we?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's
we,
true.
we have to,
We make a story out of that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what's so great about humans.
Side note, something great about dolphins, they created capitalism in a zoo.
Well, there
Did you guys
go.
know that?
You have to explain this.
Yeah. So they would pick up trash, right, and they would bring it in for fish. Well, they figured if they put it at the bottom of their pen and then put something to weigh it down, they'd tear off a little bit, bring it up, get fish. They use the fish to trap seagulls, like to bait seagulls and catch those. Then they get even more food. So they would like do that over and over again. Dolphins created capitalism. Dolphins are amazing. Capitalism's amazing. Going back in to our storytelling stuff, though,
Okay.
you guys both went on a lot about how amazing stories are.
Yeah.
And I agree completely.
Mm.
But do you guys have a favorite or one that you enjoy maybe? Not the best, not, the most profound, but one that you really enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'd say so.
Yeah, what is it, Kyle?
So, to give some context, I love themes of redemption. All right.
Okay.
I love redemption stories where
Can I
people.
make a guess?
Sure.
Avatar.
No.
Really?
I will say though that is good. That is a good redemption arc if I've ever seen one. But
Zuko
it
and
doesn't-
Zion, one
it
and the
doesn't
same.
it doesn't even have to be like evil to good. It could be like someone atoning for something that they did wrong in the past, and they were able to redeem themselves through that. And I think for me, it's probably The Last of Us. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh,
Now, see,
great story.
it's
great.
one of the best stories I've ever heard because it's just about a man who was a father and lost his daughter, and then he has to live almost for a very long time without for 25 years almost without a daughter, without any family, and he's just surviving. And then
he loses his humanity.
He
a little
loses his
bit.
humanity in the process, and then he has to take this girl across like the country. And over time,
Post-apocalyptic
in a
country.
post-apocalyptic zombie world, and over time he makes like a connection to her. But at first, like one of the best scenes I've ever seen in a game, if not any kind of media, was the scene where Ellie, the girl, talks to Joel, our main guy, and she's like, I'm sorry you lost your daughter, but I'm here and stuff like that. And then he's like, yeah, you're right. You're not my daughter, and I'm not your dad.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, oh, that hurts.
Yeah.
And it's like he's sheltered himself from like, I can't lose another person again.
Yeah.
Like you are a job, and I'm taking you. But over time, he's like, I can't lose this because she reminds me of my daughter so much.
Well, and not even so much reminding him of his daughter, but she like becomes his new daughter.
Yeah, and he like she gives him back the humanity that he thought he had lost forever.
Right. She's the only thing that makes him human. And then like when she gets taken away, you see just how like unhinged Joel really is. He tortures a couple of dudes to find out where she is.
Yeah, he
Oh,
gets
wow.
he gets twisted.
Like he's got both of them like sit down. He goes, you mark on the map where she is, and you tell me where she is.
Yeah.
And if these don't match up, guess what?
Yeah.
So then they tell him it doesn't match up. One guy marks it down. He stabs the other guy, and he goes, I told you everything you need to know. I told you everything.
Yeah,
you know."
yeah.
He goes, I believe you. And he pulls the knife out, and he starts like going for another like bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing, and that's,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
it's such a, it's
And then he
just,
like murders a whole bunch of people to get her back.
Yeah.
Spoilers. This thing's been out for a while.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was just such a great story. And I mean, it's a redemption in terms of I redeemed myself, but in the ways of like, it's still so gray where it's like, is what he did good or bad?
Oh,
You know?
like, yeah.
Like he does some very, very like
He is a bad person.
he is a bad person,
But he's a
for
person
what he
I
did.
like.
But you can relate with him because he's lost so much, and you can understand where he's coming from. And that's why I like The Last of Us so much, because it makes you question.
Kyle, what'd you think about The Last of Us 2?
That is
This one inspires love. This one does not.
It is. There are some moments where I'm like, okay, I can see that, but I don't know, the execution to some of those things just didn't work,
Yeah.
and a lot of it didn't work. But I liked some of it. But like Last of Us was just so good at making me question: is what he did good or bad? I can understand why it's good, but I
Good
can
for
also
him.
understand why it's bad, and that's why I like that story so much. It's a
So you like
redemption.
gray. You like gray in
I
your
like
stories.
morally gray things. Sometimes it's just cool to think like it is good, but it can also be bad.
What do you think about the Eren Yeager thing? Do you
That-
think he's the only one that can save the Eldian Empire?
Nah, I mean, I feel like you need people. Like, you have to have people behind you.
He does.
And I mean, yes, but at the same time,
What about the Jaegerists?
those are people, yes, but they're not like they're like fanatics to him. You know, they're like yes, join me.
Is this an Attack on Titan?
Yes.
Okay.
But he's
Thank you.
But when I say people,
for the audience members that don't know, and your co-host right here, Shaboy, did not.
Also does not know.
when it comes to like people, when I say like people he knows, like people who back him up, like his actual friends and people who are like, we've been with you since day one. To have that kind of stuff, that's what you want.
Do you have your friends from day one, Kyle?
Of course, not all of them, but there are some. Like you can tell. I mean, in an anime, and not in real life. Of course, friends come and go, but in an anime,
What's the most realistic anime that you've seen about human character?
that'd probably be Attack on Titan.
That's probably Attack on Titan.
And you can tell that they're kind of like, okay, Aaron, that's a little sus what you're doing, man. Like, you got to really stop that. And that's gonna push him even farther because it's like, I thought this was what we wanted, right? Like, y'all wanted to not be.
Well, and you're saying like he needs the support of people, but why is he doing everything he's doing? It's to protect the people he cares about. What about the train ride?
And that makes you, and that's why people are like, always like questioning if what he's doing is good or bad because he's doing it to protect people, but the way he's doing it makes you think, oh, maybe he's not.
The way he's doing it is really bad. It reminds me of Joel.
Yeah,
in The Last of Us.
Exactly. Morally great characters are fun because they make you think about, is this person truly?
It makes
good
you think
or bad?
about what's important. Right. Like with Ellie, it's she has the cure to save humanity possibly, but she has to die to get that.
And Joel don't want that.
And Joel's like, no. No, I did. This is my daughter now.
Yeah.
You're gonna make me lose another daughter
No.
Yeah.
for something that you think is going to work. You don't know for sure. You think it's going.
You think it's gonna work because she is the only one. What if there was someone else?
Yeah. What if there's somebody else? Use them.
Use
That's
them.
what he says.
But you're not using her, and he just goes
Yeah.
ballistic and
Wow.
kills everybody.
and then they like point guns at him and they're like, you're gonna have to leave now. Like
Yeah.
we're not letting you like near her.
Yeah.
And then he gets out and just murders them all. He
Wow.
gets her and then leaves.
and then he
And then he
lies to her face
about it.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he said, "Oh yeah, they found
There-
someone
Tons
else."
of people like you, Ellie, but they weren't able to make a cure out of it.
Unfortunate.
Not a single one of them.
Yeah.
She's like, "Is that the truth?" He's like, "Yes."
and that's
He
how
looks her
it,
dead in the eyes.
and
says,
that's
"Yes."
how it ends. That's how it
That's
doesn't
how the
end with a
first one
happy
ends.
ending. It's just like
Wow.
it leaves up in the air.
That's tough.
And
Yeah.
the second one comes in and ruins that whole thing.
Yep. So we don't talk
Oh.
about that. But yeah, that is my favorite story. A story of redemption, but it's not like in redemption of good to evil. It's like he's redeemed himself, but at the same time, is what he did good or bad? That's what I like.
I don't know, Mitch.
So that's a loaded question you're about to ask me. What's my favorite story? That's hard. Because there are overarching story. Because you can look at a specific story and there are similar themes in each story. And you can see similar themes. You see a lot of the hero story, like superhero stories, they have a very similar theme.
Right.
So I'll start off by saying that the trial story, similar to like Hercules, where you have to earn what's given to you. It's not just given to you; you have to earn it. That's a story theme that I like a lot, and I think
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
why I like superhero movies so much.
Yeah.
I always find it fascinating with superhero movies. They always give them powers, and they're like, "Okay, what can the powers not do? Now let's make a movie about that." I always find that very interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's like let's.
And I think that's
yeah.
why people like superhero movies so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to go off that, so that's an overarching theme that I like. Specific stories that I enjoy a lot. That's also a hard question, but
I guess.
Kyle, what are you doing sitting in Mitch's seat
Yeah.
right now? What's
I
what's
think-
going on?
I think to maybe help you broaden it a little more. You talked about stories with trials, so I guess if you
Well,
wanted
the trial archetype.
yeah, the trial archetype.
yeah.
Is there certain other themes that you like in a story or things that you may like? How I talked about stories of redemption and stuff like that. Are there any stories like that? Like, do you like a certain theme or something to happen in the stories?
And
or
maybe not even that. Okay, do most stories satisfy you?
yeah.
Yeah, they do. I'm the opposite. Okay, so this won't help you then. But I was just say, like, what is a story that you're always open to hear? You're always somebody says it and you're like, you know what?
I'm hooked up.
Yeah, I'm in the mood for that.
Yeah.
like all the time.
I'll actually say this. You kind of sparked me there. when not just a movie, any story has a bad ending, it ruins it for me.
Yeah.
So
That's what makes a bad story is
Yeah.
the ending. The ending is really, if you
Icing on
got
the
me
cake.
there to that point, end it beautifully or end it well, so I don't regret spending the last whatever amount of time I spent listening to this content or this story. Not worth it.
So like
Mass Effect.
Avengers Infinity War, when like Thanos won. Did you like that ending?
But see, I knew going into that movie that it was a 2-part movie. They just weren't calling it that.
Okay.
They originally was supposed to be
Infinity War Part 1 and 2.
Part 2, yeah.
But since it got leaked, they had to change it to Endgame.
Yeah, they changed it.
Right.
No, and I'm surprised more people didn't see right through that, but whatever. Masses are dumb.
They also thought MCU equals
I remember
win
when that
every
movie
time.
came out. One of my friends, she was destroying a drywall, and her friend had her write the things she hated, and she just wrote Thanos on the wall, and she took the sledgehammer, and she goes and like it's like just destroying the
Yeah.
wall.
That's
She
awesome.
goes, "This is for Peter." And she's like,
Honestly, you
smashing
should.
the
I
wall.
don't
You should
feel so
smash-
good, Mr.
You should just
Stark.
have.
Yeah.
You should just have Star-Lord on that wall because he was the one who caused everything to
Kind
be
of.
bad. So,
Or did he make sure it all went right? Because if he didn't do that, they wouldn't have had that one reality.
that's true. Maybe
Anyway.
they had to lose to win.
Exactly. They need Star-Lord to. I use the Star-Lord to destroy the
Star-Lord.
Star-Lord.
Exactly. Exactly.
I use the Star-Lord to destroy the Star-Lord to bring the Star-Lord back.
Yeah.
A good example of this is when Toy Story 3 came out. I thought
Yep.
that was done beautifully. It ended it
Okay.
perfectly.
Okay.
And then they went and effed it up.
Yep.
So it's not.
But headcanon, it ended perfectly.
Yes.
So it's not like a bad ending, as in like evil wins kind of bad ending. It's an ending
That can be satisfying.
which can
Yeah.
be
That can be a
so
good
it's not
ending.
like a
Yeah.
bad ending where it's like all hell breaks loose and chaos erupts. It's one of those endings where it's like you should have ended it here, but instead you ended it here, and I don't like that.
Kind of. But to what Matt's saying too, it doesn't have to be the good always wins. Because not every story requires that.
Yeah, no.
Not every story should have that.
'Cause
No.
then it gets too predictable.
But
Yeah,
we're right.
because then you know how the story's going to go, and then why would you spend the time listening, watching,
Exactly.
reading about it? You wouldn't. A good story encapsulates and keeps your audience there the entire time and makes them wanting more. But that seems hypocritical to say. It makes you wanting more, but also leaves you satisfied.
Yeah.
That's what a great story does. It leaves you wanting more, but it also leaves you satisfied. I think Harry Potter does a great job of that. Each book individually,
Has a good ending. Like they have a not good as in like yeah we did it.
you
but-
can watch and you can read each book and you can be like, wow, that had an individualistic story. You can read the first, or you can watch the first book and movie. Be like, oh, that's about the Sorcerer's Stone. That's about the Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah.
That's about the Prisoner of Azkaban. And you can, like, they have their individualistic stories. And maybe this is what I love too, and this is what I love about the MCU and what they were able to create, is they tie it together as well.
Yeah.
They
There's this overarching story.
If there's one thing I
there's an
love,
overarching story in the background that we won't notice in the first 3, but in the second half we're like, oh my gosh, that means this and this means that, and I think that's why MCU does it's so popular. It ties so many things together that we don't like. When Iron Man, Captain America came out, we didn't know. We had society as a whole had no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah, we thought it might have tanked.
And around, I think it was Guardians of the Galaxy, we're like, wait a minute.
that
It was earlier than that.
no,
Guardians came out after Avengers.
Because think about it.
Oh, true.
People
Yeah,
had a
true.
feeling that something, because they released Iron Man, like okay, and then at the end of Iron Man they talk about like the Avengers Initiative, and you're like, huh? And then Captain America, and I mean we can talk about Incredible Hulk, but I mean come on now. You have
Talk
Captain
about
America.
what? I didn't.
Yeah.
There was a movie that got made.
Yeah.
Who's
I thought they
Edward-
canceled that.
and then
Who's
I think-
Edward Norton?
And then and then there was one thing that made people really think about it, and it was Captain America, and they didn't just call it Captain America; they called it Captain America,
the first Avenger.
So you're like, huh, Avenger? And so
Right,
that-
but you couldn't tell me that you watched Captain America: The First Avenger and tell me that they're pulling like 15. Well, maybe if you read the comics, you knew. If you read the comics, you knew.
I mean,
But if you
hinted
watched
at
it-
as well.
Iron Man 2, I think, had already come out. before Captain America.
Because it was Iron Man, and then
and
it
in
was,
Iron Man 2,
Yeah.
you meet Nick Fury.
I thought Iron Man 1 you met him for some reason.
You meet him at the post credit, but
Yeah.
that doesn't count for me because
Right.
nobody knew about that back then.
Right.
So now
But
in
now
the
you
second
officially
movie,
meet him.
in the donut, he talks to Nick
Yeah.
Fury. At the end of Captain America, he comes out into modern New York
And talks
to Nick Fury.
And he says, like, I
That's
missed my
when
date.
people knew something was up.
Yeah. And I mean,
Right, they knew something was up.
but he didn't know what.
You can't tell me that they had
A
like
10-year
you've seen the picture of the 10-year or the
plan.
whole cast.
Yeah.
No way. No way. I couldn't have even known that they're gonna have
It
a
is-
cast of like I quote me if I'm wrong, but like
It's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. It's a lot of characters. Like, how do you even juggle that in a 3-hour movie? It's almost impossible.
Yeah, imagine if they did.
Almost.
Imagine if they did
Almost.
everything
But they
that
did
they'd
it.
done in just like 3 movies.
Time heist.
You know, like,
Oh
a certain
my.
other superhero-centric group of people called the Justice
No.
League. You know,
Stop.
where they
We don't talk about that.
where
the
they're like,
Snyder Cut won't save them.
yeah, it might be.
already
I will
too
say
late.
this: when it comes to the Snyder Cut, I can only say this: it will
the
be.
dead rest.
All I will say about the Snyder Cut is this: it'll probably be better than the Joss Whedon cut. It won't be the greatest piece of fiction I've ever seen. It probably won't be the greatest
No.
superhero movie I've ever seen, but it will do better than the original, and that's about all you can do. And that's fine, because I didn't like the
I will
the
say
original.
though, like Batman vs Superman and Justice League, even though they were crap movies, I guess I haven't seen them, so I shouldn't say they're crap movies.
So your opinion is now invalid, because you haven't seen the movies.
correct,
They're not good, Mitch.
right? And then I'm like, why would I even waste my time if I know they're not good? Anyway, I still love the line, "Do you bleed?"
That I will say that there are some
I would be at work for 12 hours.
just to hear
moving cheese all damn day, and I will say the line to myself because only I can hear myself because
Right.
it's really loud in there. I'll be like, I'll be pushing a 640-pound block of cheese. I'm like, "Do you bleed?" And I'll fucking just crack up laughing, and that just got
Like,
me through
I-
the day. Sometimes
I will say that was a cool line that he said.
it's not cool.
No,
it's,
no.
I-
The coolest line Batman's ever said. Who are you? I'm vengeance.
That one
That was so
also,
good.
yeah, like
so good.
it was-
Give me Dark Batman.
I'm excited for this next Batman movie.
Yeah, dude, my face when that line got delivered, I was like, "Whoa,
Dude.
oh my god, that's his arm, that's his face, oh
Yeah,
my god."
and then after he beat the shit out of that
Yeah.
guy, then he's like, "I'm vengeance," and I'm like, "You've got me."
yeah, you got my ticket, movie.
Like, first of all, you play this.
Take my money.
First of all, you play this like really cool like cinematic version of this Nirvana song.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm already hooked because of that.
you got the guy from Westworld as Gordon, right?
Yeah.
He's so good. He's
like
get
looking
that
up
man
and stuff,
in every
and he's
detective movie.
yeah, and he's
He's
like
so good.
They actually they want this to be a more detective based Batman movie.
Yes!
He's not just he's supposed to
Finally!
be. He's the world's greatest detective, and and the only thing I've seen him do is break people's bones and like nearly kill people. And I'm like, when is he gonna start using his brain?
Yeah, like he's a detective. People say that the Joker would be a good villain to Sherlock Holmes, and vice versa for Moriarty and Batman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Batman and Sherlock Holmes are so similar.
right.
And Moriarty's just like a anti-Sherlock kind of. So
Yeah.
Anti-Batman would probably be the Joker, so they kind of work out with each other. Not like pumping iron, but they work out. But I guess that leads
Yeah.
to I don't know, unless you have another point to make.
No. I was just it's really hard because
Did he ever list his favorite?
He
He talked about satisfying endings.
yeah is if you
Satisfying
had
with
to-
leaving more. Toy Story, was that it?
yeah.
Toy Story was your
Toy
satisfying.
Story, that's right.
Toy Story 3
3
did have a really good ending, and I wish they did stop it there, but they just really wanted to milk that cow.
Cash Cow's not done yet.
But it should have.
So stupid.
But it should have.
I hate it.
So I guess
So dumb.
that
Papa
leads
Disney.
us to Matt. What is yours?
Yeah.
Do you have like a theme or a aesthetic that you like in a story?
An aesthetic. I like a good story. It doesn't matter what happens to it. I like a story that makes sense to me. I don't like when they get a little too oh shoot, what's it called? Not derivative, but like
They go off a little bit.
no. Like come on, people are saying Attack on Titan was doing it, but I don't think so.
Getting to like it's leaving the source material and it's doing more of like a.
It's like too complicated or something.
oh,
like
it's
that.
getting like too complex. Like it's getting
convoluted.
oh
Convoluted.
that makes more sense. Yep, yep, yep,
Convoluted.
yep.
I don't like too convoluted stories, and I don't think Attack on Titan.
You don't like things that like overload your brain with so much information that
Right.
you're kind of like, I don't want to even care.
Right, where it's like exposition just being shoved down your throat to make sure you understand what the story is.
It's like don't tell, show, just show me.
Yeah. Like look at Alien. I don't understand how Alien's world functions. How the world of Alien functions.
Like you watch the first couple movies and you're like, okay.
You watch the first movie and it all makes sense to me.
And then you watch like Prometheus, and then you watch more like of those, and they're supposed to be like prequels and stuff, and you're like,
right,
why?
but those are like shoving it down your throat about everything, and oh, here's an Alien reference, and oh, here's what this means, and here's what this means. Right. I don't like stories like that. Game of Thrones doesn't tell you what's happening all the time. They're like, here's a dude. They're in a kingdom. Here, now over a couple seasons, you start to realize like the history of this like world. Yeah. And that makes sense to me until they get to season 8, in which case everything kind of goes.
And that's what you kind of do in your sessions too. Like you don't tell us about everything that's going on. You kind of leave it up in the air about what.
I do my best.
Yeah,
I feel like I explain too much, and I need to stop doing that.
Like when at the beginning you've set up like what the world is, right? Like at the beginning of our session when we started, you told us a lot.
Do you feel like I explained too much, Mitch?
You gave us a history.
No, I don't think so.
It's okay if you do, by the way.
No, I like the what's happening elsewhere. I just get a little worried that, and I'm probably guilty of it. I will become guilty of it if I don't keep my wits about me. Mm-hmm. Just like making sure to remember that that's a player knowledge and not a character knowledge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't be
that's hard because I would like to know as a player and as just knowing about what else is going on. That's really cool to know, but
you have to understand that that's
for the audience seat.
Right. For me to keep that separate from what Zion knows can sometimes be difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get that.
So I like it a lot. I get worried about my ability as a player to make sure to keep those two things separate.
Right.
But
I really like it though.
Yeah. I can understand that.
I just worried I'm going to ruin it for me.
I think you'll be fine. But and getting to what you said about endings though for stories, they have to satisfy me, and endings constantly don't satisfy me. Ending of Interstellar didn't satisfy me.
Really? I love the ending of Interstellar.
I like the ending up until where he like boards up his thing and then leaves. I like that he finds his daughter and all that. That's all good, and then he gets in his ship and he leaves, and I'm like, okay, so he's going to go try to find her on this other planet? Won't he be like 180 by the time he gets there?
Like, time is
weird. Am I just dumb? Or isn't that how it works? That's why he's young and his daughter's on her deathbed, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I guess a story that leaves open-ended, right? But then there's no actual closure.
Yeah.
Are also stories I don't like. Like Interstellar had an ending that was kind of open-ended. Like he goes out, but you don't actually
extremely open-ended.
Like you don't know, and that's just Christopher Nolan being Christopher Nolan, because he did that in Inception too, and I hate it. But like it's one of those things where it's like, will he actually go find her? Will he die in the process? We don't know, and you're not gonna find out.
I know.
And then the thing in Inception is the top spinning. Oh, did he just fall over? Is it wobbling? Is he in a dream? Is he not in a dream? I don't know. Guess you won't find out. And those are the things where it's like, don't do that.
Yeah,
please. I don't want open-ended stories that have no closure, no sequel, no nothing, no explanation, and then just say, and that's it. We're wrapping up. Nothing more.
And to not say that you're wrong, Matt, but you think about it. If a story's left open-ended, it's going to have people keep talking about it past hearing about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's going to let the human brain do what it does best and create its own narrative, be like, well, does that mean this, or does this mean that? And it keeps the person talking about it, and it makes them want to come back to see if that gets resolved. But most of the time, it doesn't.
Right. And that's to where I find it's more like they probably didn't know what they wanted the ending to be.
Yeah.
More than anything, and it's all well and good if you want to like leave the mystery up to it, but that doesn't leave me satisfied. And I come to stories to be entertained and satisfied with the story.
Right.
Arrival.
Ooh.
Great story.
Yeah.
Fantastic story.
Yeah.
I love that movie, and I left satisfied.
It tied everything up and it did its job.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it also showed you what the ending was, but left you before the ending.
Yeah, like you knew what was.
Mitch, have you ever seen it?
I'm looking it up.
Okay.
I'm
It's
having
the
an
one with like
intern
Amy
tell me.
Adams,
Yep.
and she like
And Hawkeye.
puts her hand on the thing,
Yep.
on the thing, and you're like, whoa, that's kind of
Yes.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I guess to go into your story a little more, because you mentioned aliens and
Yeah.
cosmic stuff.
Yeah.
Is there like a story that kind of pertains to you about that?
Yeah, there is. I was thinking about though. I don't know if it's my favorite because like, it's one I want to say. All right.
Yeah.
I like A Color Out of Space. Right. That's what it's called.
Yep. Color Out of Space. Yeah.
Color Out of Space. Awesome movie. It's just I find it's so fun. It's so like it gets you thinking. It goes up here and you never
Yeah.
really know what's about to happen.
Yeah.
But I'm about to say the same thing I always do, and I think it's just because I'm me.
Okay.
It's a movie called Sahara. Have you ever heard of it? With
Nope.
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it.
That's a fun movie.
Yeah.
I adore it.
I can get behind it.
You can't. I'm hearing it in your voice. Why don't you like it, Kyle?
Well, it was at a time when, I mean, it does star a guy who was who was high school alumni in my high school. So Steve Zahn is one of the characters. He also plays the dad in Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Wait, you know him?
Well, he didn't go to my high school when I went to high school, but he was an alumni of my high school.
Oh,
So he
okay.
graduated from
Yeah.
So I know it.
Yeah.
I just didn't think it would be like your movie that's like, yeah.
Anytime
Sahara.
somebody's like, let's watch Sahara, I'm like, hell
Yes.
yeah, let's watch Sahara. I love that movie. It's so fun.
I haven't
it's
seen
a
it.
fun
Yeah.
movie. That's why. I don't go to that movie for like, like the deep thought provoking stuff, and that's usually what I like.
It's like a movie you turn your brain off and you're kind of like, let's watch.
It's so funny. I like to laugh.
Mhm.
I like to laugh with a story that still gives me something. It's
Okay.
about treasure hunters. I love treasure hunters, bro.
Yeah.
I love Nathan Drake. I love Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
these two guys that are best buds, and they're going around just doing basically whatever they want to try to find this Confederate ship that was meant to go up the ocean or up the river and went into the ocean, ended up in Africa somehow.
Yep.
And
Ironic, really.
now they meet up with this chick from WHO who's looking into like water stuff, and then they find out this like toxic like
Yeah.
stuff is being dumped into the river, and it's because of this like African warlord who's got this gun with silver bullets. And
What the heck?
and yeah, I'm saying this to you, and you're like, what? But it actually kind of like ties together decently well.
It all kind of
Huh.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just when you tell
then-
someone outside of it, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
are you
and then
talking
they
about?
end up using the ship in the middle of the desert to fight a helicopter with like missiles and stuff with armor piercing rounds. Oh, so fun.
Oh,
Such a
boy.
fun movie.
It's
That
a turn
sounds
off your
like there's
brain
a
and let's
lot
watch.
going on.
Yeah, and my favorite part is when they pull a Panama. You've never seen it though, right, Kyle? So you don't know what that means.
Yeah.
They like cut the gas line on this boat, and they like run it into other people, and they like make sure that it's a cigar on it, so it explodes. When
Oh
it,
my
goes
god! What the?
and
That's good
it's
thinking.
Shameless. What's that guy?
Yeah,
William H. Macy?
He was
William
in it.
H. Macy's in it, and he's like, "Did you blow up my boat? Was that my boat?" And they blew it up, right?
Yeah.
They pulled Panama, and
Is that
they're-
my boat?
yeah. And it's just like private, like really nice boat. Yeah, such a great movie. And then the guy that graduated from your high school, he can't ride a camel, and so Matthew
Oh.
McConaughey's just like, "You do it like this." He's like, "I'm trying."
I'm trying.
Yeah,
It's
so good. Such a fun movie.
It's actually that is a pick out of left field.
Yeah.
I did not expect. Out of all the things,
Out of the connoisseur that I am,
yeah,
if I can say
like
that.
cosmic horrors, Color Out of Space,
Attack on
Titan, Sahara.
Dark Side.
I'm like-
or Dark Knight. Sorry.
I'm like, whew, that is a. I mean, it's one of those movies where you're like, all right, I'll like one of the movies that are like for me is like Tombstone. I love Tombstone. Like, it's a western, the perfect western in my opinion.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer just does a really good job, and it's just one of those things where it's like,
Another one of my favorite. This might be my. I'll say. Sahara is my favorite because I love it so much. But if I had to pick one off principle, it has to be probably Raiders of the Lost Ark.
yeah,
That's a fantastic movie.
yeah, it's good.
Always
Yeah.
good. Always good. I can always come back to it. And that like series, other than maybe the second one, I don't know why other people really love the second one.
You're not
my
a fan of
favorite.
it?
But speaking of things I'm not a fan of, I think it's about time we take a break. I got to get something to drink.
Okay.
We'll see you guys in a minute. Well, we took care of the thing that we didn't really like, but we're back from the break. We've used the bathroom. We've gotten drinks.
Yep.
That's the tie-in, Mitch. Remember, that's how we left off last time. I said, speaking of things we don't like.
Oh,
The break.
Come on.
Oh,
Yeah, now we're back. We're done with the break.
Were
okay.
you,
look
were
so
you confused about it?
For them, it's only been a couple of seconds. It's been a little bit longer
Yeah,
for
it's
us.
been about a
yeah, right.
little
I know
bit.
that. I was just like, wait, what did we take care of? I was like, did we murder someone and I didn't know?
No,
Yeah,
we just went
dude.
to, I got my Coke Zero here next to me. I'm ready to just slurp it down. I'm ready to,
What a poor trick. I got my Dunkin' iced coffee, creamy, smooth, French vanilla.
and that's
Just
better
like
than
you, Matt.
slurping. It's creamy
yeah,
and
that's
smooth.
right. Yeah, creamy and smooth.
Yeah.
A little more pasty than creamy, but we'll touch on that later.
Yeah, yeah.
D&D, my
Okay.
friends. What
Yeah.
happened last time? As usual, I will be taking a back seat, please.
So, I mean, this episode, just to give a basic summary,
In no
it was-
particular order.
in no particular order, to give a synopsis, it was very character driven.
Yeah.
Of course, there wasn't like big action moments from our our usual stuff. It was a lot of
There was no well.
it was character building.
There was
That's-
no well.
That was what this session was all about. It was
Character building where?
on a boat. Character building on a boat. So
What were you trying to go? Where were you trying to go with that?
he was just talking about where we
Oh,
were.
making sure that they know.
So
that we're on a boat.
So we
Gotcha.
got to Captain Astor's boat and we set sail. Lord Astor, Captain Astor. Same
I don't have my
difference.
laptop with me to pull up my notes.
Oh, but yeah.
Darn.
I know.
We met the crew and we got acquainted with them rather well. We met, of course, the crew.
Got acquainted with them rather well.
Yeah, we got acquainted. We got to talk to them and see how they, operate.
We got to know them.
We got acquainted with them rather well.
I love the English language.
Yeah, this
It's
is
beautiful.
It's so.
It's so elegant and confusing.
So we get to what are
Vegetarian means you eat vegetables, but humanitarian means
we're not
you
gonna
help people.
No, you just eat people. Come on now.
Anyway,
You take gnome or dwarven fingers.
yeah, you pop off a finger or two as you're walking.
You break a stone finger.
On
Yeah.
a pinky. Why?
Why would you? It's
Why
just,
not?
Just cool.
I'll become a necromancer and
That's
bring
so-
back.
I thought it was neat.
Yeah, that's it. So we get to we get below deck to kind of see what our possible sleeping arrangements are,
And they suck.
and they're not the greatest. They gave us some room off on
Nope,
the side
that's
a little bit.
that's the crew's sleeping area with the
Yeah, the hammocks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's theirs.
But they pointed at the space with all the cargo in
Oh,
the
yeah.
cargo hold, and they're like, you could probably sleep over there if you move some stuff around. But that's all.
Yeah,
That's all
the
we're getting.
7-foot direwolf. Yeah, it'll fit great in there.
Yeah.
Great.
So and I think you
Yeah, you
made
spent the first night up top. and it
yeah, I
was really
spent
nice.
the yep.
you made a couple of observations, right, Mitch? Like during the session about the boat, I believe there's a couple things that kind of came
Yeah,
out.
a couple things you figured out about the boat. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember some of those?
For the most part. So I did some investigating with Layafa, and we discovered a hidden room that was locked behind the cargo that we couldn't figure out how to open, which we later got brought into by the crew, and they gave us some pretty dope stuff.
Yeah.
What was some of the stuff we got? Boots of frost boots.
Frost walking boots, ice walker boots, boots that make ice underneath you.
Yes.
That's what the whole title's called. Just boots of ice that you can walk underneath.
Boots of ice that make ice underneath you.
I
while
gave
you're
it a cool name, and you're gonna.
I think they were just called the Frostwalker boots.
Yeah, it's like Frost
okay.
Walker. And then we got a gearbox, which allows us
Yep.
to get alarmed of any constructs in 60 feet.
Mhm.
So when you say constructs, you mean people, or is it more like when I think constructs, I guess it's not people because then it'd be humanoid. Yeah. I guess I was just kind of figuring out what exactly you meant by constructs because I'm
Like golems.
because I'm a fucking idiot. So
Like golems.
okay,
Like golems, like like a rock golem, like
yeah,
you know, like
I was like,
stone golem, a
I
metal
was like,
golem,
oh,
flesh golem.
It's like this will help with the basilisks, and I was like, no, it won't. Which is, it's whatever. But it is helpful.
Yeah, we got the
sure
gearbox,
we'll
and
beat
then we
something.
got the keys, the jailer's key,
Which went to the rogue.
of course.
So
And what else?
What does the jailer's key do, guys?
it allows you to break out of any kind of, well, not any kind of binding, but like if you're cuffed and stuff, you can
It unlocks it.
get out of that.
It helps you get out, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So we gave that to the rogue who could already.
There's a glasses. There's a pair of glasses, weren't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was a pumpkin.
And then there was the
Yeah,
pumpkin
that's
carriage.
my favorite item.
It's
I love
actually-
the pumpkin.
there's a
I
lot
think
of-
everybody sleeps on it. I love it.
There's a lot of
It's my
creative
I
things
have
you can-
ideas on how to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He even mentioned it in the campaign a little bit. He was like, "Yeah, crush somebody with it." Yeah.
Death.
Or block off a hallway. Something. It's.
Or
I
block
love
a hole.
giving items like these, specifically the pumpkin, because there's so much creative stuff you can do with them. It's like the rod, the immovable rod.
Yeah.
By itself, kind of shitty,
Right.
but like you can use it for really cool stuff.
You can put it in a dragon and have it tear
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah. Honestly. So
That was such a cool scene.
exactly.
I love that. I live for that.
and
Oh, can you imagine taking the pumpkin in there and just
Exactly.
frick, dude.
Dude, there's these things. I accidentally gave it to my party.
Yeah.
Because I roll on the magic table, right?
yeah.
One of my favorite parts about D&D is harkening back to that, where like I
Yeah.
have no idea what the loot is sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I know exactly what the loot's gonna be.
Right.
Like the Dragon Rider's necklace.
Mm.
But I gave them a dust of dryness. Do you guys know what that does? You pinch it on some water and it dissolves a 15 cubic feet of water into one little bead.
Okay.
My dad's
So-
like, that's useless. Like, what would I ever use that for? And me, being the horrible person I am, I already came up with a use for it.
Did you-
Guesses.
You probably put it in something or someone, and you made it suck up all the.
I was gonna say you
stuff in
probably
their
put
body.
put it
It
in
doesn't work
someone.
that way. It has to be just regular water.
I was like, oh, I thought it was like the water in someone's body.
No,
and
no,
you made it-
but you break the bead and the water gets released. So I'm like, you tie somebody up, put it in their mouth, crack their jaw.
Oh, and it
all
would-
that 15 cubic feet of water has to go somewhere, and it's in their head.
It is kind of cool to make like a tiny, because you can use that for a lot.
Death.
You can have like a fire and you can throw it on there and it blow up and then all the stuff would be on it, or you could essentially waterboard somebody. Or you could
Yeah.
Wait, no, you put it in their head. That's 15 feet of water that needs to go somewhere, and it's trapped inside their mouth. They're not drowning in it. They're exploding.
yeah, they
That head's going.
they die essentially. yeah.
Similar to the bead.
The what?
The bead.
Oh,
the
like
bead
the
of.
like Aaron's like bead that he kind of broke, or
No, I was talking about the dust bead that poof and then it poof the water and just like the head.
yeah,
Poof.
yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like the.
There you guys go. You got
Sorry.
it.
All right.
No, it's okay.
So I guess
I love bad jokes.
I guess
They help my self confidence so much.
so I guess to kind of get back to
Yep.
being on water in a boat.
Yeah, the crew gave us these cool items and they are loners.
Yep.
They are loners.
We'll see how long that
They're nice.
lasts.
Yeah, and we did over the course of I believe what was it 2-3 days, or we just spent one day. It felt like we just for some reason felt like we spent like 2 full days in that session for some reason.
We spent the time learning how to
Yeah,
do something.
We went over a lot of stuff that helped a lot with like character, because like Oberyn went to go talk to their navigator, who is
their navigator.
who is quite the dude.
Quite
Quite
the
the guy,
dude. Way to
and-
describe it.
And he, I rolled for sanity because he is an annoying son of a bitch. And I kept sane, but I just wasn't able to like learn a lot from it for my first day anyway.
What's
Whereas
his job on the ship?
wait, what?
What's his job on the ship?
To like navigate, and like he talks about the clouds.
He was the
and-
navigator.
Yeah, he talks about the clouds and like, oh, that
Yep.
means bad fortune, good fortune, and the reason Oberyn does this in a way, like the reason why he chose to go with navigation. I mean, it also can kind of feed into his, I guess, his aspect a little bit because it's talking about cunning, but like, navigation would be nice, even when you're not on a boat.
I was gonna say
'Cause you can use the navigation that he's learned to like. Oh, we're lost. Let me just use the stars or whatever to fucking.
okay, Ranger.
Yeah. Well, I don't see. You're just like, oh, there's moss on the tree. I guess okay, that's north. I guess, and the animal tracks. I'm just like, can I do that too? I want to try it.
Do you want to multi-class as a Ranger, Kyle?
I mean, it'd be kind of cool, but at the same time, I'm kind of cool with my warlock.
I was gonna
power.
say Warlock stuff's
So
pretty
it'd just
dope.
be kind of nice to have, and even if I ever like go alone somewhere, it'd be nice because if I ever get lost alone, it'd be nice to just have
Do
navigation.
you guys ever want to do like solo, just you and me sessions?
I'd be down.
How do
for
we
it.
even do that though?
You'd have to set up a day or time to like
Yeah.
sit down with the DM and just go over us. It doesn't even have to be like super.
Would it be something like you sneak
long.
away at the night, or
I don't know.
It'd be like I guess the opportunity would have to come up.
I would
first
love
to,
that.
like
that'd
go
be
for
super
that.
dope?
Like you'd be like, I'm gonna go away for a while, and you just kind
Well,
of disappear.
think of it like how Captain America has his own movie, but he's part of the Avengers.
It's like a spinoff.
It's like what's the one where he fights Hydra, and like Hydra rises up. That's Captain
Winter
America and the
Soldier?
Winter Soldier.
yeah,
It's like that where like you fight some people, but then you like come back.
yeah,
to the
and
Avengers.
it kind of feeds into like the bigger story for
Right.
sometimes. So yeah, and I think I would definitely
One thing
take
that
it.
would be hilarious, I think, is if like you did that and then you ended up like releasing some evil or something, and then you come back to the party and you're like, oh, what'd you guys do while you were gone?
I did a
You
bad.
remember that god that I've been worshipping? Yeah, he's
Yeah.
helped us in the past. Yeah, I freed him. Oh, okay, awesome, cool. Is he gonna help us?
Sweet, yeah.
I think he's evil. What?
I have
What?
been. I think I got duped.
I think he's evil. I think we need to stop him.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to have like moments of that, or even have like
That sounds amazing.
or even have like, I mean, this could be possible too. Just sessions that aren't taking place in that like in the present, but could be taking place in the past for your character to kind of establish something that happened in the past that could come up
Maybe.
later. It'd be kind of cool because we have backstories.
Kind of like the night
obviously.
terrors that happen.
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little
and
bit.
you can kind of like feed into like the past, and obviously no one else will be there, so they don't exactly know everything. But you can have something that happens in this past session, and I'll call it, that might come back in the future in our current session, and you'd be like, oh, I like that, and you tie it up and stuff, and that'd be an idea to have. Or you can have something because I honestly really want to play my one-shot character again. He's just so goddamn cool, man. He was
Your
so
tiefling gunslinger.
yes, he was so great. I miss him.
It's not the only one that uses a gun. Aster has a gun too.
Aster does have a gun
He has a
as well.
flintlock. It's a really crappy gun.
Yeah,
It's a pirate
it's
gun.
not an enchanted.
Oh,
you know,
oh,
it's
gotcha.
like a
Six-shot
one-shot,
revolver.
like yeah.
yeah.
Gotcha.
But he does have a gun, which
Really.
means guns do exist in the world
Well, pirates.
with pirates, obviously. So pirates equals yeah. But yeah, actually, to go back on topic for this, so we spend most of our day training. Arthur gets flirted on pretty hard.
Well, Arthur learns how to shoot a cannon.
Yeah, he comes with a powder monkey.
Yeah, and it kind of
That's
his
cool.
like his stuff was almost like, oh my god, I don't know if he should. It's kind of a little uncomfortable, but you know, hey, I mean, it's a tad like this is
Wow.
kind of sus. Like I don't know how Arthur's gonna react to this because I don't know how I'd react to it. So that was fun. That was like a fun 3 minutes of what could have possibly been borderline sexual harassment on a boat.
Borderline.
It was sexual harassment on a boat. And he was like, oh, the cannon. And either she gets off on him or gets off on the cannons firing, which is like, that is just a tad weird. Either way, like this, you just met this man and you're already like doing the ghost scene with the pottery with them, but
with the cannon.
but with a
like,
cannon, and
moving
you're
the
like,
cannon.
oh my god. Edwin did some mentoring.
I kind of forgot about that.
I didn't. It was all up here in the head.
I thought it was hilarious.
I thought it was funny too. It was funny because like Arthur's the kind of guy who.
not funny.
No, it's funny. I just kind of forgot about it. I was like, yeah, we're gonna not touch that.
It's kind of funny that Arthur has kind of become like the sex bard, but he's not a bard. But he's the kind of guy who's like, you're kind of cool.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And he doesn't discriminate. It's like,
Oh.
dude, girl, possibly cat lady. Like, I mean, shoot.
Furry.
It's a lonely it's a lonely world out here.
It's
God.
lonely out here.
Sea is a lonely place.
Yeah.
I'd
Ugh.
like to see you
Oh,
in me.
We got a couple. Oh my God. We have a couple of days.
You
So
see me.
you'll
He's
see.
a man.
I don't
Anyway.
know. Anyway.
So you guys all have your wonderful day of learning how to do stuff.
I
Yeah.
just mended stuff.
Yeah, you helped fix the
Which is-
boat,
which is-
and you were alarmed a little at how
Yeah.
much you had to mend.
Yep.
It was a pretty beat up ship, and you're surprised that it was even standing. Or I guess
I'm glad
floating.
I found a use for mending.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a
It's a
very
nice-
useful spell.
It's a nice spell to have. Like if its sword breaks, you can just sword.
Not magic sword.
Not
Well,
magic.
you might
Of
be
course
able
not.
to fix it, but not restore magic.
Yeah, you'd be able to fix broken swords, but you won't be able to like.
One of my favorite
bring it
things
back
is
from the
mending
brink.
like
Broken
books
bones.
or something
Oh.
like that. Broken
Oh.
bones. Like if there's like a torn page, you can like mend it back together.
There's a lot of
Stuff
Because
like
essentially
that.
mend
a lot
is
of cool
just-
stuff.
essentially meant it's just I can fix stuff. So
Yeah, as long as it's not bigger than a foot.
yeah,
That's why it took me so long. The boat's so broken.
but you did it.
So broken.
You fixed it up rather well,
Yes.
and it only got damaged again. So I mean, for later when Layoff's dream got
But
it,
she didn't.
she didn't damage
it.
the boat, but so we go into nighttime.
Well, and Edwin learned how to
Captain the ship.
captain the
Yeah,
ship.
man the helm.
Yep,
Mhm.
yep. And I believe Layoff.
I was berated for my lack of seafaring terminology.
I didn't care, honestly. I was like, you're the DM. I'm sure you know what you're talking about. They're just being hard on you because you don't know boat stuff. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I don't know nautical terms. I can just cancel this whole arc for y'all if you really want. Like, for real.
And I meant to look up my seafaring terms because I had a feeling that was going to happen.
Well, isn't that something?
What?
That is an Amber Alert. That's
For
going
what?
off. I don't know. Apparently it's Minneapolis, but
Oh, I'm
that's...
getting it too.
Yeah.
Man in black hoodie and black shirt, black shoes and jeans went missing
Apparently it's a beige Honda Pilot, but
at approximately, what time is it right now?
approximately 10:15.
At approximately 10:30, he goes missing.
Uh-oh.
He goes missing in the name of Matthew. Woo.
Oh, yikers.
Sea hood up there.
I have my back there. Why would you say that? No, I'm kidding.
So, to get
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
back on it after the Amber Alert.
Jesus.
Yikes.
So we go into the night, and Leofa, did she do? I forget what she learned.
practiced her
Oh, she practiced her
acrobatics.
acrobatics. Yes.
Yeah,
yes, yes,
practice
yes.
her dance. Oh, no, she practiced
Going
going up the...
yeah, she practiced like
yeah,
moving around.
up
And
the
she was
mainsail
like
and all that.
super good at it. And it was
Yeah,
like,
up to the crow's
golly.
nest and then sliding back down, and it was also like in dance, too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she was
which
so cool.
started the whole dance.
Yeah, and then we started doing sea
Yeah,
shanties.
and then the sea... Yeah.
Yeah,
The
and
sea
we all,
shanties.
and it
Oh,
was
that
kind of
was
cool
so
to see how everyone
beautiful.
kind of interacted with it because like
Loved
Oberyn,
it, yeah.
Oberyn was like the kind of guy who's like I don't sing, but he tapped his foot and like clapped and stuff. And then Leofa was like
But
in there.
he's the bard, too.
Yeah, Edwin like got into it for sure, but like
He's saying Oberyn.
Oberyn,
Oberyn,
yeah,
I thought you said
Oberyn,
Edwin.
yeah,
Oh.
Edwin really got into it. Leofa got into it. It's funny because like in game, like Leofa's like I don't know what a sea shanty is, but like out of game, the person who playing her was like really into it. So I was like and then yeah, it was a good time.
Even Zion danced,
Even Zion danced, and
which is something
like,
he normally wouldn't
I
do.
wrote it in like my little
And then we
book.
ended on Be Calmed. That's right.
Yeah, and for the first time, like and it sounds like the most edgiest thing, but like for the first time in a while, Oberyn like smiled like for real, because it was like a moment
For real.
Like for the first time, he's found like solace because he's never been.
first
I don't think he's never been like on a boat, but he hasn't had like the feeling that he had when he was like going through the shanties and everyone enjoying their company and everything. He missed that.
I just got chills right now thinking about it.
It's so
it
relaxing.
puts me at peace.
Yeah,
Like,
Very centering.
That's
Yeah.
why like yeah for like Oberyn, that's like this is the first time I felt like true solace and like peace and stuff like that where it's like I don't have to worry about anything. I'm in the company of good people, and he like smiles for a
and
bit.
then the captain like comes up and is like,
He does
hey,
like the cheers and everything.
well, and thank you guys for coming. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah.
it's nice to have like a full crew again. Like,
Yeah, which also makes us think like, oh boy, he must have did some dirty dog shit, because like the way his ship was like damaged, he must have made some people very angry, and he doesn't have a full crew, which means people must have really died
Or
What
quit.
quit.
Maybe.
But
you don't know.
the damages with the
You
people
don't
not being
know.
there, it's like
But they
something.
probably
Stop using your context clues. Stop being the aspect of cunning.
Oh,
Stop
well, I'm
being smart. No, I'm
sorry.
kidding, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's like
Don't.
it just
Please,
seems like
please
he
be
has
smart.
this guy definitely has a darker secret that he's not really telling us. Because like he trades goods, but we don't know what the goods are.
Yeah, he does high risk trading.
High risk trading, and those sometimes those things might not be good. They might backfire, but you never know. But yeah, we end the night. We all kind of go to sleep and lay off as like a fucking dream out of a Lovecraftian story, like a whole on vision almost on some trippy shit.
The start of her dream is my favorite thing, where she like wakes up not knowing if she's actually awake or if it's the dream,
Yep.
and then
Those are
she
the worst.
explores the boat a little bit, and then she just walks right off, and then
Yep. And then she's
into the water
sunken place style.
and sinks down and down and down
Yep.
until the very light of the night. Oh, yes, didn't talk about the bioluminescent algae and stuff that was on the waves.
So yeah,
I thought that was another beautiful part of the
yeah,
scene.
it really helped with the atmosphere because it was like, as I said, it was like that calming solace and peace time where it's like we're out in the open sea. There isn't like a care in the world. We know that at least Oberyn knows for a fact like this world might end sooner or later. I've seen a lot of shit, but like for the first time, I'm like, this is kind of nice, and so he can kind of not worry about that at least for the time being.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, it was a pretty good, like, moment for all the characters to have.
Yeah.
I agree.
Zion, yeah, he's not super comfortable with everyone yet,
Which is fair.
but
Yeah.
he's getting there. I mean, definitely didn't want to sleep below the ship.
Because
Yeah.
Probably should have, but
Well,
he didn't want to.
Why would
yeah.
you? It's a beautiful night.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
you wouldn't have known about what happens anyway. I mean,
No.
hindsight, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
hindsight 2020, of course, but
But yeah. And so everyone
yeah, but
got into their, and she had her nightmare, and it was like, holy
Yeah, what happened?
shit. So to pick up where you left off, Matt, she was sinking down, she reached the bottom, and she was in this like underground city, I believe, right?
underwater.
I don't know why I said underground. Underwater city. And then at that moment, then she sees like other people kind of sinking down to
Right.
where she was. Because she couldn't see them when she was sinking on her own. It was once she got to the bottom, that's when she saw others doing it. And she was like in the middle of this town, there was a temple, but it wasn't like a full pyramid. It was like a pyramid, but the top had been like cut off. So it kind of leads like inward into like this opening. And people were kind of going into it. And there was like and if you want to imitate the sound, man, I believe it was like a,
Oh, yeah.
that one. So almost like a
Jeez.
beating heart almost, where it's like going, like compresses and then expands kind of thing. And she got closer and closer and saw
And
that
it
people
came
were,
in waves, like
Yeah.
because sound travels differently in water.
yes.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
and it kind
Mm.
of fades
And
as like hundreds of people
Yeah.
slowly make their way through the city. And she's compelled to walk. She wants to walk, but she doesn't know why, and she doesn't feel in control. But she also feels like maybe I am in control, and I just want to be going here.
maybe she's just that curiosity coming through.
Or maybe she just feels compelled to go there.
Yeah, so she walks toward this and sees that people are falling into the little pyramid-esque, I'll call it like a monolith or altar kind of thingy. And and she kind of gets to that staircase. She starts climbing up. She still sees people like just kind of falling in. And she gets to like the top and she looks down, and I believe it wasn't like a maw that like
No.
opened up. It was
No.
just like a black pool of sorts, right?
Nope.
Or was it more?
I thought it was a slit with like a
Oh, it was like a rip in like
yeah.
in time and space almost. Yeah,
It's
no,
just, it's just like a rip.
Yeah, it's just
like
a
a
rip in a-
tear.
Yeah, ripping.
Yeah. What about
that.
what was in the four corners?
Oh, it wasn't pillars, was it?
No.
I thought it was like people.
What kind of people?
Well, they weren't alive.
They were like they were.
Oh, they
were
were
like chained to the ground, and like they were like
it was like almost ritualistic, right? And they were like chained.
almost.
It was totally ritual. I just say almost as like a filler of words. It was ritualistic in a way that they were like used as like they weren't obviously there
What
because
was coming out of them? What was feeding into the tear?
Oh, it was the blood, and they were like,
blood.
Yeah.
and they were basically skeletons with flesh on them,
Yeah,
right?
with just skin, not even flesh. You could see all their bones. There was no muscle left on them.
And they were still alive.
Yeah.
Ooh wee, ooh wee, and
Chained to each corner. feeding into this portal
and they were
or this tear.
And they were like, and in this tear, I believe that's when we saw the glowing red eyes and stuff inside, right?
Well, first she looks down and she sees all this, and then the symbols start flashing in her mind, like searing into her brain.
Yeah, and so it was
that's when the
definitely,
music went, and it came into the big,
yeah,
and then the eyes came, and then the two words on the second huge hit of the swell.
Yep. There it is. God, I love voice work. I really wish I could do that. So at that point,
Then she wakes up.
awakens, yeah. And she...
Those symbols still imprinted on her mind.
Almost enough to imprint it in...
yeah, and she
on
looks
the
down
boat.
and her fingernails
she-
hurt. And
yeah,
looks
she
down and
carved-
they're bloody.
So she has carved the symbols into the walls and
Across
all
the
over.
cargo hold,
all
in
over the
barrels,
cargo.
on crates, on the walls.
And her hands are just they almost, I think you said that the fingertips were kind of
they were messed up.
messed up, they were bad. And
she carved them in with her nails.
yeah, and when her nails didn't work,
yeah, across 5 to 10 feet
Yeah,
of
it was
just
bad.
cargo hold.
Yeah, and then she looked at her hand and there was the symbol.
You saw that,
and
she didn't notice,
right? Because so she wakes me up, and I awaken and I see that she has first of all the blood on her hands are like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, and you bandage them up.
Yeah, and I bandage them up, and I take a look at the scrawling on the wall.
Yeah,
and
you use a spell too to try to help you.
I use the comprehend languages because I think it's a language of some sort to maybe give me something, and I get nothing. And it's essentially, I get
It's
something that's
something you've never
Yeah,
seen
it's a
before.
mess.
It looks like maybe it could be some sort of writing, but then it goes in on itself and spirals out in ways that language shouldn't. And you try to look for some sort of order, and there's no order there at all.
There's no pattern, no flow. And it's strange to Oberyn because he's like, this is something I've... And she does recount the whole thing to him.
Yeah.
In great detail. And
then you channel your aspect.
And I channel my aspect to really get in depth about maybe this is something else. So I channel my aspect to see if there's anything else. And they start to glow.
What color?
Red. Dark, I was
crimson,
gonna say crimson,
yeah.
I was gonna say crimson, blood
Crimson
red almost.
red, yeah.
And which is to us
all the symbols do across
usually
the wall.
because we're obviously if it was sapphire blue, then we'd be like, oh, it's the deep, but this is something else. It's crimson red, it's
like the deep kind of shows you
Yeah.
it highlights in that color
yeah,
to show you something of import. You've never seen something highlight a different color before.
yeah, and this is red, it's bad. And
That
I
can't
actually
be
look at her
good.
hand, and there's a symbol, and I believe it's a decapitated dripping
it's
head
a
almost.
skull with
Yeah.
something dripping down the sides
Yeah.
and across the the faceplate.
It's
of the
like a
skull.
mark, but she could not. Either she couldn't see that at first, or it was hidden, and she couldn't.
She
see
didn't
it.
notice it.
Yeah, and so
But you see something red burning on her hand, the same color as what she scratched into the walls. And the barrels and the
so at
crates
this
and the
moment,
floor.
and at this moment, we see that Leotfa and Edmund wake up, and Leotfa, and not Leotfa, I'm talking about Sylvana now, wakes up and talks to Leotfa about it, and they were talking in Drow, and then I was sitting there, and I was like, oh yeah, I still have comprehend languages on, and I can just understand what they're saying, so I can still be a help to this conversation. Thank God. And so me and Sylvana are like, this is weird. This is something evil. Oberyn has seen and read a lot of things about magic, and this is something completely unknown to him. And it's something that he can just tell, this is some bad shit. If it makes you carve stuff into the wall till your hands start to bleed, that's bad. That's very, very bad.
Not good.
And the dream, too, was okay, so obviously this is ritualistic,
Well,
like a sacrifice.
And the people that she saw go up before her weren't at the top with her.
Yeah.
So she must have got cut off at some pivotal moment before something really bad might have happened.
Yeah.
Because all the people that went in there,
Didn't come out.
they disappeared.
Yep.
All the people that got to the top of the pyramid.
Weren't there anymore.
Oh, what kind of people did she see around her?
like
That's important.
artists, scholars, people of...
Scholars?
I thought it was scholars. Sculptors, I think. Yeah.
Sculptors.
It was sculptors, artists, people who used creative arts, things that take time to
But
build.
no
and
musicians.
make. But no musicians, because music is anyway. So a lot of people who use art and sculpting and stuff. So obviously it seems like they were used to be
visual
building.
stuff.
Visuals, yeah. And the division also take a lot of visuals.
Painting,
Yeah.
sculpture work.
Yeah. As if they're like building something or they're using the knowledge from these people.
I guess dance would be
knows?
considered a visual art.
Yeah.
Even though it uses sound, but it's
I mean, the way he
Dance itself is a
a
visual.
visual.
yeah. And
Wow.
so she was taken, which means that whatever this thing is, it's like siphoning only them. It's not like people who are strong or powerful, just creative and like visionary. Like they just have like a keen eye for art. And it's strange because it's like this evil entity.
It's so hard for me not to just tell you guys. It's so hard, but
Yeah.
I can't.
I
It'll
feel
ruin
like-
so much. If
I
do.
feel like it craves knowledge over pure power. Like that's the one thing I get, because it's like, yes, it wants power, but the reason it's taking all these like visual arts people seems to be that it wants something that they already have and using it to like his advantage. Because if he wanted strong people, Arthur probably should have had that dream, or someone else should have had that dream that are considered to be powerful beings, and then they would have been taken, but it wasn't. And it wasn't scholars, like I misread before. So it's not people who are like smart. It's just people who are creative, which is strange. And also the whole vision was super like trippy and like
vision
ingrained.
or dream or reality.
Oh, true.
Reality can be whatever I want it to be.
The reality stone.
What are you thinking, Mitch? You've been kind of quiet.
Yeah.
I just don't get why it's just visual arts. And what signifies the importance that it's visual arts? What can you do with that? What knowledge? What does that knowledge possess
Well,
over all arts? And
and
you know what I mean?
that can even go on to like farther reaches, like architecture, because we saw sculpting, but like architecture is
But if you're looking for just if you're looking for architecture, you're gonna bring down engineers and that mathematical and those types of people as well.
yeah.
Why? What? I don't get why you need a dancer and a sculptor. I don't get what.
A painter.
Yeah,
either,
like what?
Either it's people who
those
are not,
three are obviously visual arts, but what do they use?
There were others too, but
Right.
yeah,
What
but those
do,
were like the big ones.
what do they tie together with? How can you use all three of those?
Knowledge of the art.
who knows?
You know,
Who knows?
you know, but
it-
you won't tell us.
It turns out
I don't
want to
know.
that this demon
I don't wanna tell
was
you. I do,
actually an art major, and it's just been
He feels like
feasting
he's been
off-
wronged by his professors,
Yeah.
and he's coming
it's a
back
fine
to
art
prove-
major.
He got kicked out of art school.
Now I shall use my vengeance
Yeah.
to take all knowledge.
So, before we wrap up, theories. This is your time.
Yeah. So the
What
theory,
are you thinking? What are you thinking? Oh, quick, before we
Yeah.
leave, the captain came down and was basically like, what the beep is going on down here? And everybody started like yelling questions at him. He was yelling questions at you guys.
Yeah, and he
then
seemed like he was super familiar about it too.
you
or at
don't
least-
know that.
Yeah, out of
You
yeah.
don't know that.
That was a theory it was a theory that we threw out there that he probably knew.
And Liz's character, right before they left, she asked, and I told her to write it down
Yeah.
so she didn't forget. She asked him, have you seen this before? Or you look like you've seen this before. And
Yeah.
I made sure she wrote that down because that's where we ended the session.
Because that's probably going to be super important. So I guess that feeds
Seen
into
this before.
this feeds into probably a theory.
All right. Hit me with it.
I mean, when
I'm
you're
ready.
when you're a captain of the seas, you've seen a lot of shit, and we've seen like that. The existence of gods, deities, and all this stuff are around. I wouldn't be surprised if Captain Astor has actually seen and knows what this thing is. I mean, you had to have been like on the seas.
He's not an artist.
No,
He's not a painter
But
or a
that's-
sculptor
but-
or a dancer.
but that's
Well, he's
the
a
thing.
dancer in his free time, but not like
but that's the thing,
as
though.
an art.
That's the thing, though. He could have been taking people who were on his ship, and those people probably succumbed to those things too, and they probably suffered a worse fate than Leafa has. So, because he's a high risk trader, but there could have been people on his crew that do that kind of stuff, and they probably succumbed to the same thing. So, when Brazil Zilavana Timeless asks him like, "Have you seen this before?" He probably has. Because we don't know everybody that he's had. He has mentioned that he has had people like before, like he had to take people from place to place like once or twice. And those people could have been artists, scholars, and whatever, and sculptors. And I keep saying
not
scholars.
scholars.
I'm so sorry. But like
okay.
it's that thing where it's like I have taken people of the same kind of variety before.
Maybe.
But like, if he is familiar with it, then he has to have seen or witnessed something that involves this. And I mean, of course, he says, what the bleep is this? And it's showing that he hasn't seen at least the scratching in the walls before. But that could also just be like, oh shoot, I've never seen this before. Oh God, that's crazy. And then it turns out he does know. He just doesn't want to tell us because, be bad for business. And it could also be tied with where we are. It could be like a Bermuda Triangle thing where it's like, oh, you don't want to go in this part of the
I was gonna say,
sea,
I feel like
else.
it's location based. There's something down deep in the ocean. It's not a part of the deep.
But that's the thing.
It's
though.
like it's where it's like the deep is all about law, right? Or not law, but order and keeping it. If I'm
they don't like chaos.
They're not
Right.
fans of chaos.
Yeah, they're the antithesis to chaos.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that's why they don't like the Titans.
Right.
Because they are chaos.
Yeah.
Here's
They literally destroy and create. That is their purpose.
If this was a location-based thing and he just knows about it, if he knew it was location-based, then why would he take us?
Because we asked him.
We did ask him to take us this place.
But he's going somewhere too first. He's going somewhere
he's
first.
also
You
going
guys are
somewhere
helping him,
else.
and then he helps
If
you
he
guys.
knew it was a location-based thing, he's like, oh yeah, there's a curse around these parts.
Not
Wouldn't he
necessarily
try
a
his best
curse.
to maybe like avoid that? Because he's probably been to this place a couple of times, not like where the deity is or whatever, but he's been to that island. If he knew about it, he would have probably just been like, okay, well, this is a bad part, so we're gonna go around and try somewhere else. Which is why it's like, I don't know if it's location based. It could just be the whole entirety of the sea.
Well, I'm just saying, like, maybe it's a counterpart to the deep in a way that.
Because I mean, they're also wanting to be fed. It's just in a
Whereas
different
the
way.
deep is more about order and
Death.
this is what you do, this is your purpose, and you die. Whereas this entity is more about express yourself.
Expression, but it's in the weirdest
You
way.
create your own journey. You make life what it is.
Because it's not like forcing you in a way. It is, but it's like a thing where it's like I'm questioning whether or not if what I'm doing is me or if it's whatever is pulling me to this thing. Right?
Because I mean, Matt describes it as she wants to go there.
She feels compelled.
she feels
Yeah,
compelled
she-
to go, but she's still questioning if it's me or if it's something else. She's not like for sure like, yeah, I really wanted to go. It's like I had a
Was that me moving, or was
Right.
that something else making me move? Or
Yeah.
did I even want to, or did I want to?
It's a thing that makes you really
Right.
question yourself. And then this entity feeds on, it doesn't seem like fear, because I mean, it's not like, oh, now you're scared, now I take that from you. It's like you have this.
It's a very frightening thing.
It's like
if that was made visual, it would be very
yeah,
terrifying.
it's like a thing that craves like beauty. Like it sees visual arts as a beautiful thing, but it's twisted and mangled to become this deity where it's like, yeah, this is beautiful. I want it, but but everything else around it was like, oh my God, this is kind of like the chained people that are like human skeleton things and like the symbol, like he probably thinks, oh, that's the most baller shit I've ever made. And everyone else is like, this is
It's sus.
this is bad. Nope, this you need a therapist. You need help. This is weird.
So Zion theory,
Yeah. Do you have a theory about it?
or so is Mitch, not Zion.
I was gonna say Zion doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, Zion probably
I
still
think-
asleep.
I think it's a certain counterpart to the deep, whereas chaos to law, whereas this is more creativity to their order.
Okay.
Whereas the deep is about order and boom, boom, boom.
And self-preservation and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and this entity is more about expression, creativity.
Why is it
creating-
so goddamn evil? about it?
Creepy and
Yeah,
evil.
it's like
and-
someone
Well,
who-
the deep is creepy.
Yeah,
Like,
but it doesn't make
gives
you
a-
etch stuff in wood to make your fingers bleed.
I had a stone centipede attached to my neck for a very long time
Yeah, but he didn't like
to get
make
me
it-
down there.
Yeah, but that was like, oh, it gave me true sight and stuff. This just makes my hands hurt, and I gotta pay the damages.
I would take
So
etching in a wall compared to a.
Really?
Are you serious?
A centipede that constantly is like, go here. And I have to tell the party, we should go there. And it's like,
I'd gladly
yeah, it's going to make me go crazy.
I'd gladly take that than having to render the use of my hand. Because
it didn't render the use of her hand. It's bloodied, but
if she didn't wake up, she probably would have kept doing that, and then her hands would be utterly destroyed.
That's true.
It reminds me of there was like something that I saw that reminds me of that, but I forget. It was probably like an exorcism movie or something that like etched stuff in.
The thing that reminded me of that is like when people get trapped like in places and they're desperately trying to get out.
Yeah.
And they just like claw to just try to make their way out. And then when they realize there's nothing left, they like use their fingernails to claw in like a final message in the door before they die.
Yeah. It's not
creepy. I hate that.
That's the kind of stuff that inspired me to make this scene.
Yeah. A lot of stuff going into it. I guess we're gonna find out soon.
Next time.
We might find out
maybe next time. Maybe later than that.
If
we got snakes to kill.
We have basilisks.
Basilisks to get rid of.
What do you think a basilisk is?
All that and more in next episode, because we are out of time. I'm so sorry. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you all in the next one.